Sweat bloomed under my arms as I stepped into the hall, the air heavy with the fragrance of old incense, melted wax, and dusty flowers. The church community room in Tlalpan was always cramped, every surface scratched and scarred, but on Sundays it felt suffocating with all the bodies pressed close. The punch of voices ricocheted off the stained glass windows, children squealing, plastic chairs scraping. But Sunday afternoons, after Mass, those voices could turn sharper than any kitchen knife. That Sunday my hands trembled as I clutched the paper's slip, the announcement of my career aspirations still crumpled from Mama's purse. She'd been the one to out me. The head of the church ladies group, Doña Isu, called me up front, voice rolling over the crowd like a stone plunking into a still pond. I walked past Tia Lucha's glare, my cousin Rafa's smirk, my own father's averted eyes. Sweat prickled my scalp like rain. Well, Istas, my boy, Doña Isu sang, you've told your mama you want to be a chef, not a proper cook, mind you, a chef. International, even. Her voice punched the words with saliva-laden relish. Why don't you tell all of us why you don't want to do something worthwhile? She glanced at the stained painting of the Virgin behind her, as if expecting divine support. I heard the titters, some aunts shook their heads, others cackled. Chef, but in our kitchens, someone called. I felt the anger burn low and slow, but I kept my voice steady. I want to learn in restaurants with real chefs. Maybe open my own place one day, maybe travel. Travel, Tia Lucha cut in, brassy with derision. And who's going to pay for that? Not your ma, she can't even afford a new mop. A wave of laughter, like boiling water overflowing. My hands became fists. I'll save, I'll work. Pero por favor is, my father joined the chorus, his voice weary and thick. You can help us with the delivery route or construction, or... I shook my head too fast. I want to cook. Someone yelled, better you aim for Dr. Hijo, doctors feed families, chefs feed tourists. The weight of the room bore down on me, air pressed from my lungs. I wanted to yell, to break something open with my bare hands. Instead I locked my jaw, meeting Doña Isu's wide-lipped sneer. Well, she finished, when you come back in 10 years with your little chef's hat, maybe you'll cook us all a meal. Until then, help your mama Nino leave the fantasies at the telenovelas. And she shooed me with her hand, dismissing me like a stubborn chicken. I walked to the back. Mama squeezed my wrist hard, her eyes glistening but her mouth flat. I felt the anger swirl, hot and sharp, but behind it came a cold serenity, a silence where my mind settled and grew distant. I watched the ridicule from afar, resolving as quietly as I could that I would never let them see me crack. My life after that was a string of dead-end kitchen jobs. I peeled onions in the dark dawn for a taco stand-off insurgents, skin stinging, eyes dripping. I scrubbed pots in a hotel, knuckles sore from grease and hotel soap that bit into the skin. I took every job, endured every snide word. Cocinero, they would tease. Aiming for la gran cocina already. I worked all day, then practiced at home, haunted online videos at internet cafes, reading recipes and watching cooks in cities I'd only seen in battered travel books. Paris, Barcelona, New York, I'd try out new dishes on whatever leftovers Mama brought from her cleaning jobs. Sometimes the stews tasted like clay, sometimes I made something so good she closed her eyes, humming under her breath. Years slipped by, invitations to family parties dried up, my friends stopped asking if I was free, I had nothing to spend and never seemed to sleep. Only Rafa and my little brother, Nico, still visited, tossing me leftover chilies or old cookbooks. I was furious, hungry, and utterly alone. My hands blistered, wrists scarred pink, badges I wore under sleeves. The break came late, one rain-soaked August, in the form of a pale, tall chef named Ernesto Viga who owned a small French bistro in Polanco. I begged outside his back door every evening, delivering steaming empanadas I'd made the night before. Finally, he let me in. He watched me dice onions, fast and precise. For the first time, I felt like my hands truly obeyed. Viga was a storm, the type of man who could reduce a sous chef to tears over a sauce, his anger cold but precise. He demanded more than anyone ever had: timing, tastes, temperatures. I started at the bottom. Silent, watching, chopping, burning my fingers over copper pots. Viga rarely spoke except to correct, but there was a kind of respect in his gruffness, unlike the jeers from home. Nobody cares where you're from, Iskas, he grunted once, inspecting my sautéed carrots. They care if you make them taste something new. There was no laughter here, only judgment, honest and brutal. Under Viga, dishes became possibilities. I learned to layer flavors, the smokiness of guajillo, the buttery punch of French cream, crisped pork belly with bright cilantro. I learned about wine pairings, food styling, the artistry and sweat required to elevate the simple into something remarkable. I clung to every lesson, every rebuke, finding peace in the rhythm. At night, I walked the city, smelling roasted corn or gasoline on the breeze, mind racing with ideas. A dish that tasted like the memory of my abuela's garden, sauces that shimmered with acid and heat. That steady quiet grew inside me, anger replaced with focus. Years passed this way. Viga pushed me onto the line as junior sous chef, then chef de partie. We started entering competitions, small ones citywide. I lost some but won one then another. Journalists trickled in. Someone from a glossy magazine dubbed my sops a collision of home and haute cuisine. I clipped that out, slipped it between my mattress and the wall. I never told home much, too busy I'd say or just tired, but the current of their words, fantasies, useless dreams, ran under my skin, fueling me in quiet moments. Then one day Viga handed me a plane ticket instead of a paycheck. "New York, you're ready, go stage at Sunderland, don't embarrass me." His gruff smile scared me more than his anger ever had. I wore the shirt Mama bought me, gripped the silver cross she left in my bag. I flew through storms and night, stumbling into the kitchens of Manhattan, where I chopped and plated in blazing white light, languages tangled in the air. I burned my hands, bled, wept into my pillow, but never broke. Each time when a plate came out beautiful, I remembered the laughter of my old community and how far away it already sounded. My contract was short, but my time in New York changed me. I came back powerfully, new scars mapped beside the old. A year later, with help from a private sponsor who'd tasted my food at a festival, I opened my restaurant. Fuego Barjo, my name above the door on Cal Alvaro Obregon under soft, honest lights. The opening was small, a few critics, chef friends, the sponsor's wife. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped the first plate, but then I remembered Doña Isu's sneer, Tia Lucha's laughter, my father's disappointment, and I found serenity in the chaos. Each dish exploded out, tostadas layered with burnt tomato, steak shimmering with epazote butter, plantains soaked in smoky mezcal caramel. For the first time I was not just cooking, I was creating. We sold out every weekend. Journalists called my food the memory of Mexico reimagined. My name found its way into papers, into TV spots, into rumors whispered along Tlalpan market rows. But I never went home. I read distantly that Rafa had married, that my uncle's bakery was liquidating. Nico sent me texts, cracked photos of my old room now used for storage. I sometimes thought of sitting again in that church hall, confronting the storm of their laughter. I told myself I didn't care anymore, but the lie tickled my tongue each night, more bitter than burnt garlic. Word spread, reaching even the church group. Then one evening, nearly 10 years to the day since they'd called me a fool, Mama called. Her voice was small, afraid to hope. "They want you to cater the fiesta for San Judas's feast," she said, awed as if I might say no. "Everyone will be there." Anger flared again for a moment, a childish fire, but then that cold serenity returned. This was what I'd always wanted, to be seen, to be whole. I said yes. I arrived early, the sky a bruised blue outside the old church. My name in gold paint glimmered on Fuego Barjo's catering truck, parked where I used to walk with deliveries for my father. I wore my chef's coat, crisp, embroidered, the one I'd saved for special nights, the one Mama ironed with shaking hands. I brought my team, 2-line cooks, Claudia and Hugo, both from the old barrio, and stacks of carefully packed food. Inside the community hall, the tables sagged under papel picado and fake flowers. The same faces gathered, older now, wrinkles deeper. Some greeted me with cautious smiles, others with wary silence. Doña Isu appeared, regal despite arthritic hands clasped tight around a clipboard. "Señor Chef," she intoned, exaggerating the chef as if choking on the word. "Welcome home," her lips pressed together, searching my face for the boy she'd shamed. I nodded, anger simmering but unseen. "I hope you come hungry, Doña." Mama hovered at my side, eyes full of pride and worry. She hadn't stopped apologizing since I'd arrived, brushing invisible dust from my sleeves. "You don't have to do this," she whispered, voice tight, but I shook my head. I needed to. We set up a long table by the altar, heated trays gleaming, the air filled with the crackle of oil, notes of chipotle, bright cilantro, rich goat cheese. Whatever I'd felt cooking steadied my hands, steadied my heart. I plated sops. Thick corn rounds pressed fresh, topped with red chili, crumbly white cheese, and confit duck that shimmered, melting in tongues of magenta pickled onions. I set out steaming pots of pozole verde, pork melting into a river of tomatillos and roasted pumpkin seeds. Bread too, baked with wild anise sliced thick. The crowd gathered quickly, at first hungry, then more curious. At the head of the line, Tia Lucia picked up a fork, sniffed the sope suspiciously. This is different. Not like my mother made's. Her husband scoffed, too fancy, we'll see. I watched her take a bite, her brows shot upward, mouth pausing. Then she broke, shoveling another forkful in clumsily. Around her the skeptical faces began tasting. Rafa called out, "Ay, primo, this is something else." The room filled with murmurs. "What is in this? How did he make that sauce?" Someone asked Mama, "Can I buy more for Sunday?" Doña Isu approached slowly. "I don't eat duck," she announced in a challenging tone, as if prepared to spit it onto the plate in some final spit of scorn. Reluctantly she tried a bite, her jaw moving. Her expression changed, not softened but shocked. "You made this?" she asked. I nodded. For once she had no retort. Instead she went back for seconds. My father came last, lingering by the bread. He held the slice as if it was sacred, cheeks roughened by years. He did not meet my eyes, but after his first bite he smiled, thin and tired. "Your abuela would have liked this bread, mijo," he said. I found myself blinking hard. The room buzzed. Lucia told her friends about the new flavors. Young cousins took selfies with the food, posting to Instagram. Rafa slapped my back, then realized I was holding back tears and turned away, embarrassed. The evening blurred into laughter, stories, bodies full and faces flushed with food. For the first time, they uttered my name with admiration, not mockery. I caught the old men whispering, sharing memories of how I'd burned tortillas as a boy, now comparing notes on my sauces. Mama, aglow, deflected praise my way, her backbone straighter than I'd ever seen it. As we cleaned up, Claudia and Hugo packed the empty serving trays, eyes wide with pride. I wandered to the old churchyard, where the city lights quivered gold and orange beyond the stone walls. The anger that had burned for so long began to melt, washed away by the simple, quiet joy of doing what I loved, surrounded by the people who had once laughed me small. I breathed in deeply, heavy with serenity and relief. I didn't need their approval, not anymore. But that night they gave it anyway, in the only language I'd ever wanted, full plates and empty trays, and eyes warmed finally by something like respect. It was enough. I had come home whole and changed, the chef I had always wished to be.